You can't park here, and this dock is completely unauthorized. That's a serious violation.
Funny, because I have the approved permit right here. Looks like you made a mistake.
The first ticket slapped my windshield at 4:27 a.m., like the HOA had been waiting in the dark for my tires to cool. I was half awake, standing on my dock in a hoodie, when a flashlight beam cut across the lake and hit my two cars parked by the ramp. The air was sharp and cold, and the boards under my feet felt wet from night mist. I smelled old coffee from my travel mug and that gritty asphalt smell drifting up from the lot. Then I saw it, 3 bright orange notices flapping in the wind. Private lot violation. Tow warning. One was stuck so hard it ripped when I tried to peel it off. I looked around like someone was filming a prank. But the only thing blinking was the little red light on the HOA patrol cart rolling away like a tiny, smug spaceship. By 9 a.m., there were 7 tickets total. 7. In one morning. 4 cars. My neighbor Tim texted me a blurry photo of the HOA lake compliance lady, Marlene, standing by my bumper with her hands on her hips like she owned the water. That's when it hit me why it felt personal. Marlene had been mad since I moved in, because I used the public ramp to launch my small fishing boat, and sometimes my cousin parked behind me for 10 minutes while we loaded gear. I walked into the clubhouse office, still smelling like lake air, and said the title out loud because it was the whole insane point of this fight. HOA posted tickets on my dock cars parked by the lake ramp, then I filed the permit. The manager blinked like I'd spoken a curse. I showed the tickets, asked for the rule, asked for the map, asked for the warning I never got. Marlene wasn't there, but I could feel her fingerprints all over it. I tried the polite route first, because I'm not a chaos person. I emailed the board. I went to the next meeting on May 3, 2024, at 7 p.m., wearing jeans and my calm voice. The room had that stale carpet smell and cheap lemon cleaner, and everyone sat stiff like they were at a dentist. When I explained my cars were parked near my dock for loading, not blocking anything, people wouldn't make eye contact. A few neighbors stared at their hands like they were scared the board would punish them for blinking wrong. The president, Greg, said the ramp area is HOA controlled, and rules are rules. I asked, okay, show me the signage and the boundaries. Marlene smirked and said I should have known. Then she slid a late fee notice across the table like a magician revealing a rabbit. The board voted to deny my appeal without even letting me finish, and someone in the back whispered, "Don't fight them, they'll make you miserable." That whisper was my line in the sand. I drove home mad enough to chew through my steering wheel, but I promised myself I'd stay lawful and smart. No yelling. No threats. Proper channels only. I started writing down every detail like my life depended on it. Timeline item 1 April 5th at 4:27 a.m. false trespass call. Because yes, they called the non-emergency line on April 5th, and an officer knocked on my door at 4:27 a.m. asking if I was refusing to leave HOA property. I was literally in my bed. I had the body cam request number, too. I lined up photos, emails, and call logs in a binder. I printed every ticket, every fee, every weird warning they claimed they posted. I took photos of the ramp signs, except there weren't any signs. Just a faded post with nothing on it. Then I made one visit that changed everything. I walked into the city clerk's office and asked for public records on the lake ramp parcel. The clerk was tired but kind, and she slid me a request form like she'd seen this movie before. 2 days later, the file landed with 63 pages. I sat at my kitchen table and flipped through it while my toast went cold. Parcel maps. Easements. Old permits. Meeting minutes from years back. And right there, plain as day, was the truth: the ramp and the strip of lot by the water weren't HOA owned at all. It was a city easement with public access, and the HOA only maintained a small section beside it. Marlene had been ticketing people on land she didn't control. Worse, the record showed the HOA had been warned about it in a letter from 2019, and they ignored it. I called the city permitting office and asked what I needed to park and load at the ramp legally. The inspector said, if you're using it for temporary loading, you can file a basic access permit. So I did. I filed it clean, paid the fee, and got the permit approval email on May 10, 2024, at 2:16 p.m. The best part was the permit included a map, stamped, with the boundary lines highlighted. My revenge plan wasn't revenge the loud way. It was revenge the paperwork way. I waited for the next HOA meeting and asked to be placed on the agenda. Greg tried to shrug me off, but I emailed the request 3 times, politely, and copied the property manager. On May 17, 2024, at 7 p.m., I walked in with my binder, the stamped permit, and a calm smile that made Marlene's face twitch. I didn't raise my voice. I said, I'm here to clear up a mistake. Then I handed out copies of the parcel map and the city easement page. I watched the board members squint like they were reading a foreign language. Marlene snapped, "That's not real." I looked at her and said, "It's real enough that it has the city seal and your HOA's name on the 2019 warning letter." Someone in the room gasped. Tim's wife started recording on her phone. Another neighbor whispered, "Finally." I slid in one simple line that hit like a hammer: patterns of false reports can be prosecuted. And I pointed to my timeline and the police call record. Marlene's mouth opened, then closed, like her brain stalled. The room changed fast. People who'd been scared suddenly got brave when they smelled blood in the water, legal blood. A guy in a baseball cap laughed and said, "So she's been ticketing us on city land?" A woman near the back shouted, "I paid $300 last summer." Someone else said, "I got towed." Now there were phones up everywhere, little glowing rectangles capturing Marlene's face as it went from smug to sweaty. Greg tried to call for order, but the crowd was already buzzing. I heard one teen snicker, "HOA Karen got caught." Marlene stood up and said I was harassing her, and she demanded the meeting be ended. That's when the city inspector I invited, because it's a public meeting and I sent him the agenda, raised his hand and said he'd like to speak. The inspector calmly explained the easement boundaries, the HOA's limited authority, and the permit I filed. He didn't sound angry. He sounded bored, which was worse for her. 2 weeks later, the authority flip hit like a wave. The city sent a compliance notice to the HOA and told them to stop enforcement on the easement area immediately. They also opened a review into towing and ticketing complaints, 12 complaints in the last year, according to the inspector, and those were just the ones reported. The HOA lawyer sent a stiff letter, then suddenly the board wanted to work with me. Funny how that happens. Marlene got removed from late compliance, and the board announced a refund process for improper fees. It wasn't instant, but it was real. I got my money back, plus the towing threat was officially voided in writing. Even better, the officer who came to my door at 4:27 a.m. called me back after my report and told me they flagged the address for suspicious repeat calls. He said, "Keep everything documented. We don't like being used as a scare tactic." That line felt like justice without anyone screaming. Now the ramp is peaceful again. There's actual signage, put up by the city, with clear rules that make sense. Neighbors don't flinch when they see a clipboard. Tim waves like a normal human instead of a hostage. I still park by the lake when I load, but I do it neatly, quickly, and with my permit in the glove box like a golden ticket. The funniest part is Marlene avoids me so hard she'll turn and pretend to study a bush if I walk by. One night, a kid from down the street came to my dock and asked if I was the guy who beat the HOA with papers. I laughed and gave him a lemonade, and for the first time since moving in, my place felt like a community instead of a courtroom. Please follow for more HOA showdowns like this. Do you think she got what she deserves? Comment below.